Hi there, my name is Jessica, and I am a speech language pathologist here with Special Hope Network. Basically what I do at Special Hope Network is I serve as one of our speech language pathologists. So I run our therapy center, which is right now just a speech therapy private practice where I serve students in a one-on-one individual basis and deliver speech therapy. Occasionally, as part of my role at Special Hope, sometimes I help out with trainings or things like that in our resource center, but predominantly most of my work revolves around the therapy center. So in preparation for my time to come to Zambia, there was quite a bit that I had to do before I left the U.S., but there's so much that you can't really prepare for until you get here, you know? First question, what is it like to transition to a new country? Sorry, I'm going to be glancing down at my notes as we go along. For me, relatively, it was a pretty easy transition to move from the U.S. to Zambia. Thankfully, I didn't have too much problems with my employment visa or things like that. Packing up to leave the U.S., I was able to sell most of the things that I had at my house, like my furniture and my car and things like that. And so I didn't have too much difficulty getting rid of my things U.S. side, as well as when I arrived here. So I didn't know what Zambia would be like when I moved here. I came sight unseen. I hadn't ever been to the Africa continent, let alone Zambia before. I had done some previous travel to Guatemala in Central America, other than that, it was a pretty easy transition. When it came to having experience living in a foreign country before, I hadn't lived in a different country before. Zambia has been the first foreign country that I have lived in prior to working here at Special Hope Network. But I have found it to be a really welcoming country, and people are just super friendly and super kind. And the transition here, I think, was better than even when I moved to my first town, when I got my first job right out of college. I felt like the transition there was a little bit harder than what I had here in Zambia. I found it actually pretty easier here because people are pretty welcoming, and there's a lot of people that come and go quite a bit, especially here in Lusaka. I found it a pretty easy transition. I think any advice that I'd give for somebody transitioning to a new new country, would be that, just giving yourself patience in learning the new culture that you're about to be a part of and become a community member of. As well as just being open to learn things. Don't come in with certain expectations, or if you think that it's going to be just like the US or just like another country, then you've already got the wrong expectations. I think you need to come in being willing and humbling yourself to be able to learn what Zambia is and appreciate what Zambia is all about when you come in, because the fact of the matter is each country, each culture is very different, and there's pros and cons for all of them, but if you come in with an open heart, I think it makes the transition to a new culture much easier because then you get to learn what it's all about. I also think that giving yourself grace is the number one thing when you come to a new country, and being willing to relearn how to do a lot of things is another thing that I found. I had epiphanies over I would say even within over the first year of learning new things, because here you do things very different than what your home country would be. So things like buying your electricity, going grocery shopping, how to drive, how to negotiate, things like that. Each country and culture is different. When you come in with the humbleness to learn, as well as the readiness to learn everything over, it can help make that transition a bit easier. When it comes to types of things that I did to prepare for moving to Zambia, I did do, I feel like, your stereotypical, like, Google search, to figure out. I think it's helpful to learn the geography, so learn where you are on the continent, learn where Zambia is, learn where the regional areas are around. I also found it helpful to, just kind of look at a map of Zambia and figure out, okay, what are the major towns in Zambia? So like Lusaka, Livingston, those are big ones. Kabwe, Kitwe, trying to think of other ones. Just some of those major towns and looking on the map and seeing kind of, okay, what are the big main landmarks and going from there, I think were important. But honestly, there's not a lot that you can like research specifically about Zambia before you get here. I didn't really feel like, and so particularly I felt really frustrated when I was in the US not being able to learn much for like language. So there are 70 different dialectal languages that are here in Zambia, and there's not like an online course that you can take to learn those. And so there is like a town Nyanja book that you can buy on Amazon and read through, but most of it you just learn when you get here. So when it comes to things like that, there's some things you can prepare for, but some of it you just have to learn once you move here. I think a really important thing that I really felt really benefited me before I moved here, though, in preparation, is reading through how to serve and work in a multicultural experience. And so particularly thinking about the books that Holly and Eric recommend, I think those are really important just to kind of bring yourself to awareness of what differences might exist out there, as well as thinking through just a couple other books that I recommend on in addition to that would be When Helping Hurts by Brian Fickert and Steve, I'm not remembering his last name, I'll probably put this in the description or something. I felt like that book was really helpful in just kind of giving yourself a basic understanding of working in kind of like the NGO world and service world, as well as particularly chapter 10 when it talks about practical strategies to use in community development. I think having those in the back of your mind are really important before you come to service, particularly with our community care center families. But I also really wish, I read this book after, probably about a year and a half after I came to Zambia. One second. But I kind of wish I would have read it before I came here and then read it again while I was here. There's a book called African Friends and Money Matters, which delves a lot into financial aspects of just kind of the culture here, because it's very, very different than Western societies. And having that understanding of money really makes a lot of sense when it comes into other areas of life, particularly relationships and friendships and things like that, because I think that was one of the things I struggled with culturally, like when I first moved here, is how to deal with money and things like that. And so I felt that book was also really helpful in helping me gain an understanding of how people perceive money and how they use that in social interactions. And so that would be one thing that I would also recommend to read and be aware of. Not everything in that book applies to Zambia, but there's quite a few things that after you've been here, you can be like, oh, I remember that, and it can be something that could be helpful for you. Okay, next question. What did you tell family and friends who were sad you were leaving or weren't the most supportive about you moving to Zambia? So for me particularly, I did have some close family members, like in my immediate family, that mean a lot to me that were not excited that I was moving to Zambia, or they, were confused of like, oh, well, why would you move to Zambia? Why would you want to do that? Things like that. And I think the biggest thing that I think I learned in that situation is, number one, validating the feelings that somebody has, because in a nutshell, you are moving far away from your family and your friends and things that you know as normal. And so although for me, it felt like an adventure, like I was going out and I was going to do this really fun, awesome thing, for my family it was kind of sad, because they are now missing me. I live far away and I'm not close, and I'm not nearby. And so it's a bit of a grieving process, a little bit. And so instead of like denying the feelings of other people, hear them out and say, hey, yep, I hear, how this is sad and things like that. And there's things that you can set up in advance of like, WhatsApp calls, Skype calls, things like that, to make it not feel so far away. But the biggest thing also is, recognizing their feelings, but then also just being prayerful and allowing the Lord to work in those individuals' lives, because ultimately He's the one that changes hearts, and I feel like if God has called you to move to Zambia, to live and to serve here, He will make that way possible. And I think for me in my situation, my family members weren't excited even up until the day that I left. They did not want me to go, but it was after being here for a year and then going back home and fundraising for that next following year and being able to share about, what Special Hope is able to do, and being here in person and having those real life experiences. God really changed the heart of those family members that were maybe a little bit more against it in the beginning, and now they are some of my biggest supporters when it comes to living and working here in Zambia. So praying is one of your best tools that you can use to try to get that done. So when it comes to getting things prepared to bring to Zambia and like your packing list and things like that, the most important things that I think I packed were like essentials. So like bring your deodorant, or you don't have to bring like all of your toiletries. Like you can buy shampoo and deodorant and things like that here, but if you're really particular, you like a really brand, like bring that. For ladies, bring your foundation, bring your makeup that you really like, because it is a bit more pricey to get foundation here. And so things like that. You can bring personal effects, and so things like I brought some of my favorite coffee mugs, some like 1 or 2 picture frames, some of my favorite pictures and things like that I could hang on the wall. And another thing somebody recommended to me that I thought was really important to bring was actually like bed linens, and so I brought like 1 set bed linens and like one of my favorite blankets and things like that, because all of those things make you feel like you're at home and you're cozy and it's familiar, because you're going to be in a lot of unfamiliar, and so having some of those token things that you can bring with you and put in your home to make it feel like your house is a really important thing that I am glad that I brought with me. And towels, and like I brought my own set of like nice soft towels that my aunt had gotten me, and I'm really glad that I brought those along with me. But another thing that I'm so glad somebody told me, and I'll be really specific on this one because we're about to enter cold season, bring clothes for cold weather. So Zambia, 3/4 of the year is actually pretty warm. So in Fahrenheit, usually we float between 70 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Hot season's a lot more hot like in October, around that time of year. But for the months of May through July, end of July, beginning of August, cold season is cold. And it's not like if you're from the Midwest, like you don't think I was like, oh, I'm from Iowa, it will be fine, like I can handle cold weather. But the difference is here, once it gets cold, you can't warm up, and so you just have to like layer on a bunch of stuff. So like bring your sweatshirts, bring your fuzzy socks, bring your sweatpants, like things that keep you warm. Definitely bring those along. Don't think, oh, Zambia's hot all the time, I won't need that. No, you do need those. Those are really important. And then any medicines that you might need. So for me, I have asthma, so I have certain inhalers that I brought. I brought along some like liquid Dayquil, NyQuil kind of stuff, just because I like that. But another thing that you can't buy here, it's technically illegal, is Benadryl. So I bring some Benadryl along with me, and I just hide it like in my shoes while I bring it in, or something like that. But just some medicines or things like that. But one thing I definitely regret bringing that I did not need to bring was maxi skirts. I don't wear skirts. I don't really wear dresses all that much. And I brought a bunch of maxi skirts. You do not need to bring those. You do not need to bring things like bring whatever clothes you wear in the U.S. Like, doesn't have to be super casual, doesn't have to be super fancy, whatever. Just whatever you wear in the U.S. you can wear here. The only time, you might want to wear things that like cover up your legs if you're like in the compounds or something like that. So you might want to wear like jeans or like linen pants, or something like that. But you can wear capris, you can wear Bermuda shorts, you can wear like knee-length skirts or something like that. But you don't have to wear a bunch of maxi skirts when you come in. You can just wear something that covers you, like you can wear jeans and stuff like that, and it's okay. So you don't need to bring a bunch of maxi skirts or things like that. But yeah, make sure you bring things for rainy season. So bring a raincoat, bring an umbrella. If you have like rain boots or something like that that you like to wear, those are important. You can also get them here, but those are things that are also important because it's not just dry here all the time. And then, for things that you can do for fun, things for fun here in Zambia, there's so much to do here in Lusaka. And so I am really cheap, and so I do all the cheap fun. So I really enjoy going on walks. There's a couple areas on the edge of town, but also sometimes within like housing complexes or facilities or things like that. You can go, if you know somebody that lives there, you can go park at their house, or you can park, like there's an area around near Roma called Roma Park where it has a restaurant, and so you can just go park at the restaurant and then you can like walk around in the gated community, and it's really nice. But there's other places that I've been able to scout out that has like really nice sunsets, or places that are really green that you can go for walks, like at the forest reserve here in Lusaka. Those are all really fun places that you can go and do. There's also like lots of different groups here in Lusaka. So there's a rugby group, there's ultimate frisbee if you're more athletic. There's really nice places you can go get a cup of coffee, or like they have really nice restaurants that have, the thing I love about here is restaurants are very much outside and they're really nice garden areas, and so there's fun different restaurants and coffee shops that you can go to that have nice pretty gardens that you can sit in, and even just exercise classes, groups like that, those are all available here, so there's plenty of fun things to do.